Southern Iran, 30 miles east of Bushehr, 3 in the morning. 5 MH-60 Black Hawk helicopters flew low over the flat coastal plain, their rotors barely clearing the scrubland below. Inside sat 100 U.S. Army Rangers from the 75th Ranger Regiment, armed and prepared for an operation that would produce the single largest explosion of the entire conflict. Their target was Iran's Southern Regional Ammunition Depot, a sprawling complex of 60 concrete storage bunkers spread across 300 acres of desert, containing an estimated 10,000 tons of artillery shells, rockets, missiles, and explosives that supplied Iranian forces across the southern theater. If you stand with United States' finest soldiers, subscribe to Sonic's Darks and never miss a battle. Intelligence had identified this depot as the critical logistics node feeding Iranian military operations from Bushehr to the Afghan border. Satellite surveillance over 3 months documented a constant flow of military trucks carrying ammunition from this facility to frontline positions. Thermal imagery revealed that 42 of the 60 bunkers were fully loaded, with munitions stacked from floor to ceiling. Analysis estimated the depot contained 3,000 tons of artillery shells, 2,500 tons of rocket and missile propellant, 2,000 tons of small arms ammunition, 1,500 tons of explosives and demolition materials, and 1,000 tons of mortar rounds and grenades. Destroying this facility would cut off ammunition supply to Iranian forces across a 400-mile front. The depot was defended by a garrison of 200 Iranian soldiers organized into a security battalion. A double perimeter fence topped with razor wire surrounded the entire 300-acre compound. 12 guard towers provided overlapping surveillance. 4 armored personnel carriers patrolled the internal road network connecting the 60 bunkers. A quick reaction force of 40 soldiers maintained a constant state of readiness in barracks near the main gate. Iranian commanders considered this depot too far from the front lines to face a ground attack. American planners designed a 3-phase assault. Phase 1 involved a diversionary airstrike 15 miles north to draw attention away from the depot. Phase 2 was the Ranger assault itself, targeting the security forces and planting demolition charges on key bunkers. Phase 3 was the controlled detonation and extraction. The entire operation was planned to last no more than 2 hours. At 2:45 a.m., 2 F-15E Strike Eagles dropped 4 JDAM bombs on an empty Iranian military checkpoint 15 miles north of the depot. The explosions lit up the sky and sent the garrison's quick reaction force racing north to investigate. 40 soldiers in 2 trucks departed the main gate at high speed, exactly as American planners had anticipated. The garrison was now reduced to 160 defenders. At 3:00 a.m., the 5 Black Hawks reached the landing zone 1 mile south of the depot. Rangers fast roped into the desert and formed into 3 assault elements. Alpha Company with 40 Rangers would breach the southern fence and secure bunkers 1 through 20, the section containing artillery shells and rocket propellant. Bravo Company with 35 Rangers would assault through the eastern fence, targeting bunkers 21 through 40, housing small arms ammunition and explosives. Charlie Company with 25 Rangers would provide overwatch, suppress the guard towers, and establish blocking positions against any reinforcements. Charlie Company moved into position first. 3 sniper teams set up on a low ridge 400 meters south of the depot with clear sight lines to 9 of the 12 guard towers. At precisely 3:10 a.m., all 3 sniper teams fired simultaneously. 6 guards in the 3 nearest towers were eliminated in the opening seconds. Rangers with M240 machine guns immediately engaged the remaining visible towers with sustained fire, forcing the guards to take cover below their observation platforms. If you stand with United States' finest soldiers, subscribe to Sonic's Darks and never miss a battle. Alpha Company breached the southern perimeter fence with explosive cutting charges. The detonation cord sliced through the razor wire and chain link in a flash of sparks. 40 Rangers surged through the gap and into the depot compound. The first bunker they reached was locked with a heavy steel padlock. A Ranger placed a small breaching charge on the lock and blew it off. Inside, the team found rows of wooden crates stacked 8 feet high containing 155 mm artillery shells. Demolition specialists immediately began placing thermite charges deep within the stacks. Bravo Company breached the eastern fence 30 seconds after Alpha. Iranian defenders near the eastern barracks opened fire with AK-47 rifles and a PKM machine gun from a sandbag position. Rangers returned fire with devastating accuracy. 2 M72 law rockets destroyed the machine gun position. Bravo Rangers pushed forward through the smoke, clearing the barracks building room by room. 17 Iranian soldiers were killed and 12 surrendered within the first 5 minutes. Iranian defenders mounted a counterattack from the northern section of the depot. Approximately 50 soldiers advanced between the bunker rows, using the concrete structures for cover. They concentrated fire on Alpha Company's position near Bunker 8. The volume of incoming rounds forced Rangers to take cover behind concrete blast walls separating the bunkers. 2 Rangers were wounded by ricocheting fragments. Charlie Company's machine gun teams on the ridge shifted fire to support Alpha. The elevated position gave them a clear view of the Iranian soldiers moving between bunkers. Tracer rounds tore through the narrow alleys between the concrete structures. The crossfire between Alpha's frontal defense and Charlie's flanking fire from the ridge pinned the Iranian counterattack in a deadly kill zone. Within 8 minutes, the counterattack collapsed with over 30 Iranian soldiers killed. With the security force neutralized, the demolition phase accelerated. Ranger demolition teams moved systematically through the bunker rows. Each team consisted of 2 specialists who placed calculated charges designed to ignite the contents rather than simply destroy the structure. Thermite charges were positioned to burn through ammunition crates and reach the propellant inside. Time delay fuses were set at 45 minutes, giving the Rangers enough time to extract before the detonation sequence began. Inside Bunker 14, Rangers discovered something the intelligence analysts had missed. The bunker contained not standard ammunition, but 200 Iranian-made Fateh 110 ballistic missile warheads, each packed with 500 kilograms of high explosive. The demolition team leader immediately radioed the discovery to command. These warheads alone represented 100 tons of high explosive in a single bunker. The demolition charges were doubled to ensure complete destruction. At 3:45 a.m., the diversion force that had raced north returned to the depot. The 40 soldiers and 2 trucks approached the main gate at high speed. Charlie Company had anticipated this and positioned Javelin missile teams covering the main road. The lead truck was struck by a Javelin 300 meters from the gate, erupting in a fireball that blocked the road. The second truck braked hard and soldiers scrambled out, only to come under immediate machine gun fire from Charlie's blocking positions. The reinforcement attempt was crushed within 4 minutes. By 4 a.m., demolition charges had been placed in 35 of the 42 loaded bunkers. The 7 remaining bunkers in the far northern section were too close to continuing resistance from a pocket of 20 Iranian soldiers who had barricaded themselves in the depot's administrative building. Rather than risk casualties assaulting the building, the Ranger commander called in an airstrike. 2 F-15E Strike Eagles delivered 4 GBU-38J dams that demolished the building and eliminated the final resistance. Rangers then placed charges in the remaining 7 bunkers, completing the demolition preparation. Every loaded bunker in the depot was now rigged with thermite charges on 45-minute time delay fuses. The demolition team leader conducted a final circuit check, confirming all 35 original charges, and the 7 newly placed charges were functioning. Extraction began at 4:15 a.m. Wounded Rangers were carried to the landing zone first. 12 captured Iranian soldiers were secured for transport. Intelligence teams had photographed inventory records found in the administrative building before it was destroyed, documenting the full contents of every bunker. The 5 Black Hawks returned to the landing zone and Rangers loaded quickly. At 4:30 a.m., the last Black Hawk lifted off. The Rangers were 3 miles away when the first timer activated. Bunker 14, containing the 200 Fateh 110 warheads, detonated first. The explosion was catastrophic. 100 tons of high explosive detonated simultaneously, producing a fireball that rose 2,000 feet into the air. The blast wave flattened every structure within 500 meters. The shock wave shattered windows in the town of Bushehr, 30 miles away. The detonation of Bunker 14 triggered a chain reaction that the demolition teams had designed. The blast wave initiated sympathetic detonation in adjacent bunkers before their own timers activated. Bunker after bunker erupted in a rolling series of explosions that marched across the 300-acre compound. Artillery shells cooked off in staccato bursts. Rocket propellant ignited in blinding white fireballs. Small arms ammunition crackled like continuous thunder. The chain reaction continued for over 40 minutes. Each bunker's explosion triggered the next, creating a self-sustaining cascade of destruction. The ground shook continuously. Columns of fire and smoke merged into a single massive conflagration visible from 80 miles away. Seismic monitoring stations across the region registered the explosions as a magnitude 3.2 earthquake. When dawn broke, the ammunition depot had ceased to exist. 60 concrete bunkers had been reduced to shattered foundations. The double perimeter fence had been blown flat. Guard towers lay twisted and scattered across the desert. Craters 30 feet deep marked where the largest bunkers had stood. Unexploded ordnance was scattered across a 2-mile radius, rendering the entire area too dangerous to approach for weeks. The operation was a complete success. All 42 loaded ammunition bunkers were destroyed, containing an estimated 10,000 tons of munitions. The 200 Fateh 110 warheads represented an irreplaceable loss to Iran's ballistic missile program. Supply records captured during the raid revealed the locations of 3 additional smaller ammunition caches, which were destroyed by airstrikes within 48 hours. Iranian casualties totaled approximately 140 soldiers killed, including the 40-man reinforcement force destroyed at the main gate. 12 soldiers were captured. American casualties were 2 Rangers killed in action and 7 wounded. All wounded were evacuated successfully. The 2 fallen Rangers were posthumously awarded the Bronze Star with Valor. The destruction of the Southern Regional Ammunition Depot had an immediate and devastating impact on Iranian military operations. Frontline units began reporting critical ammunition shortages within 72 hours. Artillery batteries that had been firing hundreds of rounds daily were rationed to fewer than 20. Rocket launcher units went silent entirely. The single largest explosion of the conflict had silenced guns across a 400-mile front. Iranian state media blamed the explosion on an accidental fire caused by improper storage procedures. Satellite imagery showing the systematic pattern of destruction across all 60 bunkers, combined with the obvious crater signatures of precision munitions, made the cover story impossible to maintain. The depot that had supplied an army was now a field of craters and twisted metal, destroyed by 100 Rangers in a single night. If you stand with United States' finest soldiers, subscribe to Sonic's Darks and never miss a battle.